ridge fields lay bruised and scattered, I still clinging to the trough. A chestnut mare steps slow and cautious, where the sunrise warmed the frost. The fence posts lean from midnight's pounding, and grass lay flattened in the glow, and the land felt wide and waiting for the hands that make it flow. Hail rich feedland dawn stands true, where the quiet work pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the tasks you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Hail ridge feedland dawn stands true. He hauled fresh hay across the open flatland, straw dust rising in the air. A ranch hand named Marlin joined him, helping clear the damage there. The wind rolled soft across the broken ridges, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the morning found its shine. Feedland dawn stands true, where the quiet work pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the tasks you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Hail ridge feedland dawn stands true. By noon the trough stood full and newly leveled, sunlight warming shattered ground, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the plains regained their sound. He leaned a moment by the weather gate post, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this carve stories only working hands can keep. Hail ridge feedland dawn stands true, where the quiet work pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the tasks you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Hail ridge feedland dawn stands true.
The hill-washed trail lay soaked and silent, mudlines curling through the grass. A silver-maned mare stepped slow and mindful, where the sunrise tried to pass. The fence posts leaned from heavy rainfall, water pooled along the bend, stays true. He cleared the path with steady, quiet motion, boots sunk deep in morning clay. A ranch hand named Rowan joined him, learning how the plains hold sway. The valley breathed beneath the rising sunlight, carrying scents of earth and pine. And the world felt tall and ancient as the hillside came to shine. Hill wash, break of day, run stays true, where the early task pull the dawn anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Hill wash, break of day, run stays true. By noon the trails stood clear and newly open, fresh earth drying in the heat. And the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the morning found its beat. He leaned a moment by the weathered gatepost, let the silence settle deep. Knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Hill wash, break of day, run stays true, where the early task pull the dawn anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Hill wash, break of day, run stays true. The high road curve lay dim and rising, fog still clinging to the chrome. The steel gray mare stood calm and waiting as the engine rumbled home. The mountain air was cold and restless, dust trails swirling in the light, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built for night. High road Maryland Hall stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. High road Maryland Hall stays true. He checked the straps with steady, quiet motion, diesel humming through the dawn. The ranch hand named Karen rode beside him, learning how the road stayed drawn. The valley opened like a silver river, stays true. By noon the ridge stood clear and sunlit golden, warm wind rolling through the pass, and the mare stepped out with growing comfort as the long night finally passed. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. High road Maryland Hall stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. High road Maryland Hall stays true. The heat crest road lay warm and rising, steam still lifting from the ground. A copper young bronc shifted softly as the trailer made its sound. The canyon air was thick and restless, storm haze glowing in the sky, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built to try. Heat crest, bronc line, drift stays true, where the early miles pull the day in anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Heat crest, bronc line, drift stays true. He checked the boards with steady, quiet motion, diesel rumbling through the climb. A ranch hand named Jalen rode beside him, learning how the long road's time. The valley opened like a glowing canyon, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the ridgeline drew its line. Heat crest, bronc line, drift stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Heat crest, bronc line, drift stays true. By noon the high spring stood in cool blue shimmer, soft wind rolling through the trees, and the bronc stepped out with growing comfort as the long night found its ease. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Heat crest, bronc line, drift stays true, where the early miles pull
The mist where a ridge lay pale and drifting, fog still clinging to the stone. A dun-colored mare stepped slow and steady where the sunrise carved its tone. The mountain spring was choked with fallen branches, cold water trapped beneath the clay, and the land felt hushed and waiting for the work to clear the way. Mistwell ridge water runs, stays bright, where the quiet dawn shapes the working light. Every footstep pulls the day upright in a world that keeps its ancient sight. Mistwell ridge water runs, stays bright. He cleared the brush with practiced gentle motion, hands still chilled from morning's breath. A ranch hand named Lauren watched beside him, learning how the plains cheat death. The fog rolled low across the open valley, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and timeless as the spring began to shine. Mistwell ridge water runs, stays bright, where the quiet dawn shapes the working light. Every footstep pulls the day upright in a world that keeps its ancient sight. Mistwell ridge water runs, stays bright. By noon the floor ran clear and newly opened, silver threads along the ground, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the ridge regained its sound. He leaned a moment by the weathered gatepost, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Mistwell ridge water runs, stays bright, where the quiet dawn shapes the working light. Every footstep pulls the day upright in a world that keeps its ancient sight. Mistwell ridge water runs, stays bright. Copper-coated mare stepped slow and steady where the sunrise brushed the lawn. The saltbox tipped from heavy night winds, dust still swirling near the bend, and the land felt wide and waiting for the hands that make it mend. High rail crest wind keeps days true, where the early light pulls the day heat. Hot rail crest wind keeps stays true, where the early light pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Hot rail crest wind keeps stays true. The snow-passed ridge lay pale and rising, I still clinging to the rails. A frost-white coat stamped soft and anxious as the diesel cleared the trails. The mountain wind was sharp and restless, cold light breaking through the gray, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built for day. Snow past cold line drive stays true, where the early miles pull the dawn anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Snow past cold line drive stays true. He checked the tires with steady, quiet motion, boots pressed deep in winter clay. A ranch hand named Taven rode beside him, learning how the long road swayed. The valley opened like a frozen canyon, carrying sands of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the ridge began to shine. The snow past cold line drive stays true, where the early miles pull the dawn anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Snow past cold line drive stays true. By noon the pass stood clear and sunlit, silver warm breath rising from the herd, and the colt stepped out with growing comfort as the long night lost its word. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Snow past cold line drive stays true, where the early miles pull the dawn anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Snow past cold line drive stays true.
The Moon Ridge Road lay pale and silver, cold light dancing on the steel. A midnight young bronc shifted softly as the trailer found its feel. The hillside wind was thin and restless, frost still clinging to the air, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built to care. Stays true. He checked the latch with steady, quiet motion, diesel humming through the climb. A ranch hand named Karis rode beside him, learning how the long road's time. The valley opened like a moonlit canyon, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the ridgeline drew its line. Stays true. By dawn the hillside stood in warming amber, soft wind rolling through the trees, and the bronc stepped out with growing comfort as the long night its ease. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Stays true, where the early miles pull the night anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Moonridge, Bronquato stays true.
The shadow-bent trail lay torn and quiet, branches scattered from the night. A roan mare stepped through drifting silver, where the sunrise shaped its light. The fence line bowed from heavy weather, dust still rising from the ground, and the land felt wide and waiting for the work that must be found. Shadow bend early ride holds true, where the morning wind pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the tasks you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Shadow bend early ride holds true. He said new rails along the broken fence line, wood still damp from midnight's breath. A ranch hand named Jalen joined him, learning how the plains cheat death. The valley hung beneath the rising sunlight, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the shadows left the line. Shadow bend early ride holds true, where the morning wind pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the tasks you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Shadow bend early ride holds true. By noon the herd stepped out with growing comfort, hooves pressed softly through the clay, and the mare drank deep beside the railing, where the long night slipped away. He leaned a moment by the weathered gate post, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Shadow bend early ride holds true, where the morning wind pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the tasks you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Shadow bend early ride holds true.
in a world that keeps its rugged view. Ridge, flow, sunrise, bend stays true. Trough and clear and newly opened, silver water on the stone, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the long night lost its tone. He leaned a moment by the weathered gatepost, let the silence settle deep. Knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Ridge, flow, sunrise, then stays true. Where the early light pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Ridge, flow, sunrise, bend stays true. The dune line stretched lay high and rising, sand still clinging to the wheels. A dust gold mare stamped soft and eager as the engine found its feel. The desert wind was dry and restless, heat waves bending through the air, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built to bear. Don't line Mustang transit stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Don't line Mustang transit stays true. You check the ropes with steady, quiet motion, diesel humming through the climb. A ranch hand name written rode beside him, learning how the long road's time. The valley open like a burning canyon, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the dunes began to shine. Don't line Mustang transit stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Don't line Mustang He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Don't like Mustang transit stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Don't line Mustang transit stays true. The frost-bitten road lay crisp and silver, I still clinging to the rails. A dawn gray filly shifted softly as the trailer hummed through vales. The hillside wind was sharp and restless, cold breath rising in the air, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built to care. Frost-bitten stock trail run stays true, where the early miles pull the day. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Frost-bitten stock trail run stays true. He checked the boards with steady, quiet motion, diesel rumbling through the climb. A ranch hand named Aaron rode beside him, learning how the long road's time. The valley opened like a frost-lit canyon, carrying scents of earth and pine. And the world felt tall and ancient as the ridgeline drew its line. Frost-bitten stock trail run stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Frost-bitten stock trail run stays true. By noon the high field stood in warming amber, soft wind rolling through the trees, and the horses stepped with growing comfort as the long night found its ease. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Frostbend stock trail runs, stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Frostbend stock trail run, stays true.
The stone where a ridge lay cracked and quiet, dust still drifting from the night. A sable mare stepped slow and cautious where the sunrise carved its light. Loose shale scattered near the canyon edges, cold air humming through the land, and the world felt wide and waiting for a steady working hand. Stone where a morning span stays true, where the early tasks pour the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Stone where a morning span stays true. He cleared the rocks with practice, the patient motion, metal ringing in the chill. A ranch hand named Keaton joined him, learning how the plains stand still. The valley had breathed beneath the rising sunlight, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the spring began to shine. Stonewell morning span stays true, where the early tasks pull the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Stonewell morning span stays true. By noon the troughs ran clear and newly opened, silver water on the clay, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the long night slipped away. He leaned a moment by the weathered gatepost, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Stonewell morning span stays true, where the early tasks pull the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Stonewell morning span stays true. The dust bar flats lay dim and quiet, sand still drifting from the night. A cinnamon mare stepped slow and steady where the sunrise carved its lights. The windbreak boards were bowed and buried, grain piled deep along the bend, and the land felt wide and waiting for the hands that make it mend. Dust bar morning stand stays true where the early tasks pull the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Dust bar morning stand stays true. He cleared the drift with patient, steady motion, boots pressed deep in desert clay. A ranch hand named Merrick joined them, learning how the plains hold sway. The valley breathed beneath the rising sunlight, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the windbreak came to shine. Dust bar morning stand stays true where the early tasks pull the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Dust bar morning stand stays true. By noon the path stood clear and newly open, fresh sand leveled by the heat, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the morning found its beat. He leaned a moment by the weather gate post, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Dust bar morning stand stays true where the early tasks pull the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Dust bar morning stand stays true.
The timber crest road lay dark and winding, pine fog rising with the dawn. A trembling foal stood soft and quiet as the trailer lights came on. The forest air was cold and restless, branches whispering in the glow, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built to go. Timber crest, full line, run, stays true. Where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do. In a world that keeps its rugged view. Timber crest, full line, run, stays true. He checked the gate with steady, quiet motion. Diesel humming through the climb. A ranch hand named Laren rode beside him, learning how the woods keep time. The valley opened like a mist-lit canyon, carrying scents of earth and pine. And the world felt tall and ancient as the ridgeline drew its line. Timber crest, full line, run, stays true. Where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do. In a world that keeps its rugged view. Timber crest, full line, run, stays true. By noon the clearing stood in sunlit amber. Warm wind rolling through the trees, and the foal stepped out with growing comfort as the long night found its ease. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Timber crest, full line, run, stays true. Where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do. In a world that keeps its rugged view. Timber crest, full line, run, stays true. The dust-crest road lay warm and drifting, grit still clinging to the rails. A sunrise young bronc shifted softly as the trailer hummed through vales. The canyon wind was dry and restless, dust clouds rising in the air, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built to care. Dust crisp bronze Every gear shift shapes the work you do. In a world that keeps its rugged view, dust crest brown climb, carry stays true. He checked the ropes with steady, quiet motion, diesel rumbling through the climb. A ranch hand named Terran rode beside him, learning how the long road's time. The valley opened like a dust-lit canyon, carrying scents of earth and pine. And the world felt tall and ancient as the ridgeline drew its line. Dust crisp brown pine, carry stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do. In a world that keeps its rugged view, dust crest brown climb, carry stays true. By noon the high field stood in sunlit amber, warm wind rolling through the trees. And the bronc stepped out with growing comfort as the long night found its ease. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Dust crisp brown climb, carry stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do. In a world that keeps its rugged view, dust crest brown climb, carry stays true.
Frost line trail lay pale and quiet, I still clinging to the rails. A brindle mare stepped slow and steady, where the dawn cut through the veils. The woodpile leaned from midnight's freezing, snow dust swirling in the air, and the land felt cold and waiting for a hand to make it fair. Frost line timber run, stay strong, where the winter plains hum their working song. Every footstep pulls the day along, in a world that keeps its silence long. Frost line timber run, stay strong. stacked new logs beside the weathered outpost, breath still rising in the chill. A ranch hand named Silas joined him, learning how the mornings feel. The valley echoed with a distant rumble, sunlight breaking through the gray, and the world felt tall and ancient as the cold began to sway. Frost-lined timber run stays strong, where the winter plains hum their working song. Every footstep pulls the day along, in a world that keeps its silence long. Frost-lined timber run stays strong. Shed stood warm and newly sheltered, fresh boards set against the frame, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort. As the frost released its claim, he leaned a moment by the weathered gatepost, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this carve stories only working hands can keep. Frost-lined timber run stays strong, where the winter plains hum their working song. Every footstep pulls the day along, in a world that keeps its silence long. Frost-lined timber run stays strong. Rock-span bridge lay cracked and quiet, shells still scattered from the night. A dun-tailed mare stepped slow and cautious, where the sunrise carved its light. The canyon wind still hummed its warning, dust hung faint above the land, and the world felt wide and waiting for a steady working hand. Rock-span morning crossing stays true, where the early tasks pull the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Rock-span morning crossing stays true. He said new planks along the broken walkway, wood still chilled from midnight's breath. A ranch hand named Joran joined him, learning how the ridges test. The valley breathed beneath the rising sunlight, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the span began to shine. Rock-span morning
as the morning found its beat. He leaned a moment by the weather gate post, let the silence settle deep. Knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Rocks bend morning crossing stays true, where the early tasks pull the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Rocks bend morning crossing stays true. The rain-crest road lay slick and winding, storm mist rising with the dawn. A soaked bay mare stood calm and watchful as the trailer lights came on. The canyon air was cold and heavy, clouds still rumbling through the gray, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built for day. Rain crest horse show line stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Rain crest horse line stays true. He checked the tires with steady, quiet motion, diesel humming through the climb. A ranch hand named Brecken rode beside him, learning how the long road's time. The valley opened like a storm-lit canyon, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the ridgeline drew its line. Rain crest horse line stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Rain crest horse line stays true. By noon the shelter stood in sun-washed silver, warm wind rolling through the trees, and the horses stepped with growing comfort as the long night found its ease. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this true. Where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do. In a world that keeps its rugged view. Rain crest, horse haul, line stays true. Windfall road lay bright and sweeping, dust still drifting in the glow. A trail young mare steps soft and cautious as the trailer rode below. The hillside breeze was wild and restless, branches whispering through the air, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built to care. Windfall trail horse drive stays true. Where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do. In a world that keeps its rugged view. Windfall trail horse drive stays true. He checked the tires with steady, quiet motion. Diesel humming through the climb. A ranch hand named Joran rode beside him, learning how the long road's time. The valley opened like a glowing canyon, carrying scents of earth and pine. And the world felt tall and ancient as the ridgeline drew its line. Windfall trail horse drive stays true. Where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do. In a world that keeps its rugged view. Windfall trail horse drive stays true. By noon the clearing stood in warm gold shimmer, soft wind rolling through the trees, and the horses stepped with growing comfort as the long night found its ease. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Windfall trail horse drive stays true. Where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do. In a world that keeps its rugged view. Windfall trail horse drive stays true.
Saw Creek flats lay torn and quiet, dust still drifting from the night. A bass-drive mare stepped slow and steady where the sunrise carved its light. The trough was tipped from heavy weather, grass lay flattened near the bend, and the land felt wide and waiting for the hands that make it mend. Salt Creek dawn line, hope stays true, where the early tasks for the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Salt Creek dawn line, hold stays true. He set new rails along the broken fence line, wood still damp from midnight's breath. Ranch hand named Taryn joined him, learning how the plains cheat death. The valley home beneath the rising sunlight, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the shadows left the line. Salt Creek dawn line, hope stays true, where the early task for the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Salt Creek dawn line, hold stays true. By noon the trough stood full and newly leveled, silver water on the clay, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the long night slipped away. He leaned a moment by the weathered gatepost, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Salt Creek dawn line, hope stays true, where the early tasks pull the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Salt Creek dawn line, hold stays true. into the ground. A pale maned mare stepped slow and careful where the sunrise tried to sound. The low trail bowed from heavy night, frost grass lay silver near the bend, and the land felt wide and waiting for the hands that make it mend. Fog bend first, light trail stays true, where the early calm pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Fog bend first, light trail stays true. He cleared the brush with steady, quiet motion, boots pressed deep in morning clay. A ranch hand named Heron joined him, learning how the plains hold sway. The valley breathed beneath the rising sunlight, carrying sense of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the hollow came to shine. Fog bend first, light trail stays true, where the early calm pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Fog bend first, light trail stays true. By noon the path stood clear and newly open, fresh frost melting in the heat, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the morning found its beat. He leaned a moment by the weathered gatepost, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Fog bend first, light trail stays true, where the early calm pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Fog bend first, light trail stays true.
The cliff trail been lay sharp and broken, loose rocks scattered in the dawn. The trembling roan mare shifted softly as the trailer lights came on. The canyon wind was cold and restless, dust still hanging in the air, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built to care. Cliff trail stop line, carry stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Cliff trail stock line, carry stays true. He checked the chains with steady, quiet motion, diesel humming through the climb. A ranch hand named Davin rode beside him, learning how the long road's time. The valley opened like a rising canyon, carrying scents of earth and pine. And the world felt tall and ancient as the ridgeline drew its line. Cliff trail, stock line, carry stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Cliff trail, stock line, carry stays true. By noon the plateau stood in sunlit silver, warm wind rolling through the trees, and the horses stepped with growing comfort as the long night found its ease. He leaned a moment by the weathered trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Cliff trail, stock line, carry stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Cliff trail, stock line, carry stays true. The Echo Hill Road lay soft and humming, night sound fading with the dawn. A copper young bronc stepped slow and wary as the trailer lights came on. The valley wind was cool and restless, old thunder drifting through the air, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built to care. Echo Hill, Bronx Street ride stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Echo Hill, Bronx Street ride stays true. He checked the boards with steady, quiet motion, diesel rumbling through the climb. A ranch hand named Selva beside him, learning how the long road's time. The canyon opened like a rising chamber, carrying scents of earth and pine. And the world felt tall and ancient as the ridgeline drew its line. Echo Hill, Bronx Stream ride stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Echo Hill, Bronx Stream ride stays true. By noon the spring field stood in quiet silver, soft wind rolling through the trees. And the Bronx stepped out with growing comfort as the long night found its ease. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Echo Hill, Bronx Stream ride stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Echo Hill, Bronx Stream ride stays true.
Hill-washed trail is soaked and silent, mudlines curling through the grass. The silver mane mare steps slow and mindful, where the sunrise tried to pass. The fence posts lean from heavy rainfall, water pooled along the bend, and the land felt wide and waiting for the hands that make it mend. Hill-washed break of day run stays true, where the early task pour the dawn anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Hill-washed break of day run stays true. The path with steady, quiet motion, boots sunk deep in morning clay. A ranch hand named Rowan joined him, learning how the plains hold sway. The valley breathed beneath the rising sunlight, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the hillside came to shine. He'll wash, break a day, run, stays true, where the early task pull the dawn anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. He'll wash, break a day, run, stays true. By noon the trail stood clear and newly opened, fresh earth drying in the heat, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the morning found its beat. He leaned a moment by the weathered gatepost, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. He'll wash, break a day, run, stays true, where the early tasks pull the dawn anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. He'll wash, break a day, run, stays true.
The stone whisper spring lake dim and humming, mist still clinging to the shell. A frost gray mare steps slow and careful, where the sunrise traced its trail. The upper rocks had slipped from midnight's breathing, cold water trapped beneath the sea, and the land felt wide and waiting for a hand to clear the stream. Stone whisper, don't fall, run, stays true, where the early calm pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Stone whisper, don't fall, run, stays true. He lifted stones with steady, quiet motion, boots pressed deep in morning clay. A ranch hand named Kelvin joined him, learning how the ridges sway. The valley breathed beneath the rising sunlight, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the spring began to shine. Stone whisper, don't fall, run, stays true, where the early calm pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Stone whisper, don't fall, run, stays true. silver threads across the stone, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the long night lost its tone. He leaned a moment by the weathered gatepost, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Stone whisper, don't fall, run stays true, where the early calm pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Stone whisper, don't fall, run stays true. This cliff road lay pale and echoing, fog still clinging to the rails. A silver young filly shifted softly as the trailer hummed through vales. The coastal wind was cold and restless, salt lines drifting in the air, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built to care. Miss Cliff Bridle Hall stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Miss Cliff Bridle Hall stays true. He checked the straps with steady, quiet motion, diesel rumbling through the climb. A ranch hand named Corlin rode beside him, learning how the long road's time. The valley opened like a rising shoreline, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the cliffside drew its line. Miss Cliff Bridle Hall stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Miss Cliff Bridle Hall stays true. By By noon the high fields stood in sunlit amber, warm wind rolling through the trees, and the horses stepped with growing comfort as the long night found its ease. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Miss Cliff Bridle Hall stays true, where the early miles pull the day anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Miss Cliff Bridle Hall stays true. Ridgeway road lay dark and rising, moonlight brushing over steel. A night-born colt steps slow and cautious as the trailer found its feel. The canyon air was cool and restless, echoes drifting through the trees, and the world felt wide and calling for a driver built for ease. Ridgeway night, cold heart stays true, where the early miles pull the dawn anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Ridgeway night, cold heart stays true. Check the ropes with steady, quiet motion, diesel humming through the climb. A ranch hand named Calvin rode beside him, learning how the long road's time. The valley opened like a silver chamber, Ridgeway night cold hall stays true. By sunrise, high field grass was glowing amber. Soft wind rolling through the trees, and the cold stepped out with growing comfort as the long night found its ease. He leaned a moment by the weather trailer, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Ridgeway night cold hall stays true, where the early miles pull the dawn anew. Every gear shift shapes the work you do in a world that keeps its rugged view. Ridgeway night cold hall stays true.
The iron crest shed still smelled of ember, ash lines drifting in the dawn. A cold black mare stepped slow and steady, where the sunrise brushed the lawn. The anvil rang from last night's spark fall, metal cooling in the air, and the land felt wide and waiting for a hand to make it fair. Iron crest morning, forge stays strong, where the working plains hum their early song. Every footstep pulls the day along, in a world that keeps its silence long. Iron crest morning, forge stays strong. He checked the tools where he'd had wore the edges, steel still warm from midnight's flare. A ranch hand named Darren joined him, learning how the mornings care. The valley breathed beneath the rising sunlight, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the forge began to shine. Iron crest morning, forge stays strong, where the working plains hum their early song. Every footstep pulls the day along, in a world that keeps its silence long. Iron crest morning, forge stays strong. By noon the shoes lay shaped in new leaves, fresh sparks fading on the clay. And the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the long night slipped away. He leaned a moment by the weathered gate post, let the quiet settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Iron Crest morning, forge stays strong, where the working plains hum their early song. Every footstep pulls the day along, in a world that keeps its silence long. Iron Crest morning, forge stays strong. Cave lay damp and humming, rain still clinging to the stone. A chestnut mare stepped slow and mindful, where the sunrise carved its tone. Loose gravel shifted from the midnight downpour, soft water threading through the scene, and the land felt wide and waiting for a hand to clear the stream. Echo hollow sunrise, call stays true, where the early hush pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Echo hollow sunrise, call stays true. He moved the rocks with steady, quiet rhythm, boots pressed deep in morning clay. A ranch hand named Braden joined him, learning how the ridges sway. The valley breathed beneath the rising sunlight, carrying scents of earth and pine, and the world felt tall and ancient as the hollow came to shine. Echo hollow sunrise, call stays true, where the early hush pulls the day anew. Every footstep shapes the work you do, in a world that keeps its rugged view. Echo hollow sunrise, call stays true. The cave stood clear and newly opened, fresh echoes drifting through the air, and the herd stepped out with growing comfort as the long night lost its glare. He leaned a moment by the weathered gate post, let the silence settle deep, knowing days like this write stories only working hands can keep. Echo hollow sunrise, call stays true,
ocean.